So I'd like to say that it's 5:30, and I'd like to open the meeting, call it to order, the July 5th, 5:30 Financial Committee meeting. And I'd like to do...
Don't mean to interrupt you, Barbara, but you don't have a quorum yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do we find out if other people are coming?
Well, they haven't said, at least to me, and they should respond to you actually, if they're going to be here or not. So I'm assuming others will be here. Ed and I aren't voting members, so we can't be part of the quorum. So normally what we do is we just wait a few minutes and see what happens.
Okay, so, good.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but since we can't officially do it.
Oh, thank you. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, we all feel like we do, yeah. That's why it's good to have a good group of folks, you know?
Yeah, we've got to just be happy and be nice.
Oh, here we go.
There's Ray.
There's Ray, yeah.
So once Ray gets audio, we have our quorum now.
I hear audio.
You know what? I don't know how I got onto this, though. I put it on and joined, but I couldn't join. It said the host had to have a password, and I didn't have a password, so I don't know how I got on.
Well, in the email, it had a meeting, and it also had the password underneath.
Yeah, I had the two, so I got to join, but then when I went, it said if you're the host, log on, and it was confusing.
You were probably there. You were there before Ed was. Ed's the host, so he's the only one that can start the meeting.
I had to let everybody in.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right.
He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Good.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Ray.
Oh.
So let me just... Now, Ken is the clerk, and he'd be the one taking the minutes, so maybe we can give him a couple minutes.
Who?
Who's the clerk?
Ken.
Ken's here.
Oh, Ken, there you are.
Adam.
I'm here, but I'm not the clerk.
Clerk of the
I'm
list.
sorry. The motion was by you. I'm looking at it was Adam that was the clerk.
Right.
Scared you for a minute, huh?
I've only got a red pencil. It wouldn't work.
So this weather's been finally nice.
Yes, that was a welcome change.
It was. Over the weekend, my son got married. We had it on our property here. So it was Saturday, so it was the pick of the weekend. Lucky it wasn't Sunday.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Right.
I'll say. Whew.
Yeah. Sometimes luck comes through.
Yes. I was going to drink wine, but I thought I'd be good. I'm drinking water.
I'm not saying names, but there was somebody who made a cheer at the last meeting, I think, too.
Yeah, I saw it. It was cute.
Now, Ray, can you put your camera on, Ray? We can see your name, but we can't see you.
Well, do you want to watch me eating corn on the cob? I'll be with you in a few minutes. I can see you. I was hoping you didn't hear me eating it.
Okay, as long as we know you're there, we're all set.
I'm here.
So, Barbara, if you want to start the meeting, Adam's not here, but I will take some notes until he gets here.
Thank you. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And just say I was going to ask everyone to introduce themselves in case people don't know each other. But if you, so I'm going to start. Barbara Szymborski, 10 Golden Circle.
Great LaForce, 16 Leadmine Road.
Ben Cole, 51 Coleman Road.
Tom Livingston, 45 Pomeroy Meadow Road.
John Martin, 106 Clark Street.
Ed Gibson, Town Administrator.
Thank you. All right, so let's, is there any public comment? We start? So no
Doesn't
one's
look
here
like
on the
there's-
public.
Yeah, there's no public on there, so
All right, then we'll go forward. Review department requests, if any. So were there various
No.
departments requests?
there's none.
Okay,
Yeah, something
So,
like that.
right along.
Sorry, on something like that, what would happen is those would get forwarded with the agenda, so we'd have them up front usually.
okay. All right, very good. Review personal change forms and personal request forms, none. And then review any other public,
Yeah, the PRFs, PCFs mean the same thing as up above and 4. I think that's a
Okay.
duplicate, Barbara.
okay. All right, old business, if any. So since this is like the first time this group has moved together, worked together, I don't think we know of any old business. Okay, so we'll move on. New business. For the year 2021, budget review and recommendations. So I have to tell you, gentlemen, I spent 2.5 hours. I read every word in this book. All right. Not being familiar with a lot of stuff, it was terribly interesting, but I'm going to look for help with you gentlemen who've been in town working with it. So for the year 2021 budget review and recommendations.
So what you were sent by Ed Gibson, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what was approved by the select board to go on the annual town meeting on the 15th, right?
I think that
Correct.
was correct.
Okay.
So we just have to say we approve?
Well, you can ask questions if you had a chance to go through it. You want to know why certain things were done and why cuts were made in certain areas versus other areas. At the select board meetings, we had a lot of talk about these, and it was swinging way to the left where somebody said, close the library, use all that money, or close a third shift on the fire department. People come up with ideas during the brainstorming process. Some of them you may agree with, some you don't. But in the end, we decided that, library is an important part of town. The fire department, all shifts, the police department, all shifts are important parts of the town. So we went back and tried to figure out where we could come up with a level funded budget based on the information we had. Now, Ed, the budget that you sent them, and I don't see the whole thing in the email. That's why I'm asking. I only see, I see the recommended fiscal 20 plus 2%, then the fiscal 21 request, then the fiscal 21 balance budget with reduced state aid.
That was the one for posting. I had also sent them the one that had all 5 columns in it from before.
Okay.
And that would have been the first one, which I sent out, I think, with the Zoom invitation.
Yeah, we were sent that.
Let me find that.
Again.
Because that's the one that's important.
Hey, John, can you hear me okay?
Whoever said that, I can hear. Is that Adam?
No, that was Tom.
Right.
Huh?
But everything went.
Yeah, we were sent the 5-column budget.
Okay, so you have that in front of you?
We do.
Yeah.
Do you remember what date that was sent to you on, Tom?
Yep, stand by.
I looked for it, didn't find it. Of course, I get way too many emails, but
The date on the bottom of the printout is August 4.
I think this is,
So we were,
I've got it in front of me now.
okay, you have it. Good.
Okay, so is there any questions that you folks have on that budget that Ed and I can help you with on how we got there?
John, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Here,
I have a question on the second column, the FY21 request.
right?
So that's a number that's submitted by department heads or whomever
Correct.
before or after the first column?
That was the initial request, as I remember, correct, Ed? This is where we went out for the initial budget pass, asking them to come back with what they feel that they need for fiscal 21. Am I remembering that correct, Ed?
Column B is the 2020 budget.
It's hard hearing you, Tom.
Column B is the 2020 budget.
Column B, 2021.
Yeah, column B is fiscal 21.
21, right.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just,
I noticed last week column B was the 2020 budget.
We can't hear you.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Tom.
Okay. I'm going to come back into the meeting.
Okay, why don't you try that? Now, Ed, am I remembering that correct? Fiscal 21 request was the first round that the department sent us. Can you hear us, Ed? We're having a hard time, Ed, with you now.
Yeah, the sound is bad.
I can hear you, Barbara, okay, and Ken, I heard you.
Ed?
Say something, Ed.
That's bad.
You're breaking up, Ed.
How do I sound?
You sound fine.
You sound good, Ray.
Just a procedural thing. Do we have to approve the minutes from last time?
Yeah, it's on the agenda down under what we're talking about now.
Okay. Tom sent out a list of questions, emailed Ed, I think, some questions. And one of the things that that I was wondering about that Tom had asked, I think it was you, right, Tom? Didn't you send out a list of questions?
He's trying to connect to audio.
trying to get back in, but yes, he was the one that sent the question.
So I was wondering about, one of the questions that Tom had asked about tax deferrals or delinquencies, provision for that. What kind of thought did you put into that?
You talking about whether we allow them to pay later?
I don't know, or people that don't pay at all, you know, because they're not working or whatever.
Well, they're giving them some leeway for payments, and they set up payments if needed. That's done on a regular basis. So I haven't heard of anything being a lot worse than the years prior. Have you, Ed, on that? People coming in saying they can't pay their taxes or want to set up payment plans? Again, he can't hear us either.
Ed? We can't hear
Tom
you.
Livingston rejoined.
You sound good now, Tom.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
No, we can't hear Ed. Hey, Ed, would it be better if we all sign off, including yourself, to try to get back on? We have a hard time hearing Ed.
Yeah.
We're not getting you, Ed. You're garbled.
Can you sign it?
Don't go there, Ray.
My wife knows sign.
Does she?
Good.
Okay, but while he's trying to get in, there is a process that people can't pay, but we don't let them not have a payment plan, or, if they just don't pay their taxes, bills go out, and there's letters that go out to them saying you need to pay your taxes. Most people proactively come in and they try to, with the treasurer, try to set up a payment plan.
But there was no provision for that, I mean, in the
budget?
the
No.
budget. Okay.
No, the provision was that we were hoping to get all the revenue that we're planning on. So yeah, if there's a lot of defaults, then that's going to cause a problem, obviously.
Is there just a follow up to
This
that?
is Ed. Hold on, this is Ed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ed? Here, hold on a second. Doc? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to try to basically
We can't. We still can't hear him.
Okay, give me 2 seconds to let him know, okay? Okay, bye. That was Ed on the telephone. We all need to sign off. He's going to sign off and bring it back up again, okay?
All right.
So what do we do? Use the same password? All right, do we use the same password, or he just
same
does that?
password and everything.
Okay,
So he'll
Bye.
end the meeting, give him a minute to sign on, then come back.
okay, do we hit leave?
You can hit leave if you see it, otherwise he'll do it for you.
Okay, looks like I'm connecting. Here we go.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
I'm hanging up the phone, Ed.
What's that?
I just hung up the phone for you.
Okay.
I can hear you now. Guess we're just missing Barbara.
Yeah.
When you sent it to her, did you have the 1 in her email? The number 1?
I'll go take a look.
I'll tell you what, let me go right here. I'll be able to see it.
Okay. Because it auto-populated.
Yeah, but the first,
You're unable to complete your call. To speak to a customer service.
There's Barbara.
yeah, you did have it, yeah. Where is she?
Just admitted her.
Okay.
Okay.
Whoop, here we are. All right, great.
Sorry about that.
Technology's not fun sometimes.
No,
Okay,
it's
so
not.
so we were talking about number 6 on the agenda, new business, and the for year 2021 review and recommended. We got through that, or we on that? I lost track.
That's where we were on. There were some questions coming, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
So
Question?
whoever had questions on the budget process, you want to bring them back up?
Yeah, my question was the relation time-wise of column 2 to column 1. So in other words, when the managers were inputting their number, was it after you folks had established the budget and some individuals wanted more or less than what was stipulated?
No, that column 1 is the request column?
No, column 2 is the request column.
Okay.
Column 1 is the board recommended fiscal 20 level funded plus 2%.
Which was,
Oh, that's,
which
okay,
was
that's the fiscal year 20 budget that was approved. Right.
So
So
his
that's-
question was the fiscal 21 request line or column, was that what the department submitted?
Yeah. Yes, that's what they were submitted back in January.
So column 2, fiscal 21 was the first column to come in, and the board put column 1 in as their recommendation.
Well, no, column 1 is actually the fiscal year 20 approved.
Right.
So that's what was approved for, whether you call it the previous year.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
That's the start of what we work off of.
That was the starting point. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So column 1 was the actual budget for fiscal 20.
Correct.
Okay. And then, so the 21 request was before or after the budget stipulation for 21?
I didn't quite catch that question. The columns, as I'm looking at them, Ed, are in the sequence that we did them. I mean, the column 1 is fiscal 20, which is already there. Fiscal 21 was the request by the departments.
Right.
And then the next column, first yellow column, is what, again, jump in, Ed, was the fiscal 21 level funded. Level funded is money versus level staffed and everything. So plus contractual increases that we had to put in there either by statute or because there's maintenance agreements that we have with a increase in it or contracts with collective bargaining. So there's contractual obligations that we couldn't change. So that's what that is. So it's level funding from fiscal 20 with only contractual increases that we felt had to be put in there, things we couldn't go back and change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was the first crack at seeing if we just did that, would we be in balance or not?
And we found out we would not.
Correct.
Now, and I don't know if what kind of length we went into it, but let me see if it's down there. If you go all the way to the bottom and where the green is, there's under revenue projection scenarios, there's various scenarios in there. And at the time, and now we didn't know which scenario that we would have to operate under. So after a lot of discussion, we decided to go with the third line from the bottom, where we thought the revenue was going to be $17,691,925, which was a 1% reduction in Chapter 70 money and a 3% reduction in general government money. So that meant we had to come up from column 2 to column 3. There was a deficit of $237,890. So we had to come up with that difference based on the scenario we selected, because nobody knew exactly what scenario was going to happen. So we picked that scenario and worked forward from that.
Well, because of the academic.
That document on up as a shared document?
Yeah, that was the one you sent last Wednesday.
Yeah, would you like me to try to throw that up as a shared document?
Oh, I got you, sure.
Okay.
Might be easier.
Yeah, also, because this is my first time doing this, but we were not able to meet to discuss the budget, et cetera, when we were supposed to during what months were it?
Yeah,
2
January,
months.
February area, right?
Yeah.
March.
So the select board had to do that, which was great, but here we are trying to put pieces together.
Yeah,
It's hard.
You're trying to understand what we did, which I wish I could say it was simple, straightforward, but we kept going back and forth, trying to figure out where we could cut in order to balance it. Because you have to go to town meeting with a balanced budget. That's the key.
At all this point, all we're looking to do is to either recommend, not recommend, or whatever that third option was.
Well, since you're a finance committee, you want to recommend or not recommend. I suppose you could take a no position because you weren't involved with the process, and that would make sense this year. Or you could say, we want to amend it on the town meeting floor, and here's what we want to do. We want to take money from here, put it here, and readjust it. I mean,
right.
And let me back up. On the town meeting floor, we're not there as select board or finance committee. Robert Floyd, the moderator, will clearly tell you we're there as separate residents because it is a moderator's meeting, and he will say that quite clearly and plainly. He controls the meeting. So if we wanted to do something as, say, a finance committee, we could put a motion together, have 2 copies of it ready for the town meeting, and then one person would have to go up as an individual resident and say, we discussed this at the finance committee, but I am bringing this forward as Tom Livingston as a resident, and then it would be discussed at the town meeting on the floor, and a vote would be taken. So it can be amended on the floor if you find something really egregious in it.
Yeah, I don't see it. I'm not there, but that's good to know.
Yeah, it's a no-win situation. I mean, and depending what else comes down, there could be a lot more cuts. You know, but when people start talking about cutting shifts off fire and police or closing libraries, you know, that's getting to a point where people are scrambling because there's not enough money to do what everybody wants to do. But I personally was not in favor of any of those because a lot of people talk about people come to town for the schools, which I agree with. But the other side of that is if you don't have a good fire department, a police department, they're not going to come to town because you got to have a balance in there. You don't want high crime in great schools or no ambulance and, you know, great schools and great police. I think to me is you got to have the full spectrum of services that people want. So that's always the position I come from. Okay. You finding it, Ed?
It isn't up?
No, we've got your listing of all your files.
Here we go again with that. Why doesn't this work? Yeah. Desktop is a shared window is closed. Okay, so let's try this again.
But as of right now, the way the balance or the budget is balanced, Norris School took roughly a $40,000 decrease to their budget. We're not rehiring 2 administrative positions. Both of them are vacant right now. One is actually the assistant town clerk. The library, fire, police, all took cuts in their budget. But the library, for instance, has to have a minimum budget in order to meet the town intercity lending library and all that. So they met that. Norris School is, I believe, 109% of net school spending. Technically, you're not supposed to go below 100% of net school spending for the schools, although you can go 5% once in a while, but the state doesn't favor that. So Norris is above net school spending by about 9%. Library is good. The police chief feels comfortable with where the budget is, although he would like some more money to put the services back, but he's still able to maintain 3 shifts, 7 days a week, and 2 officers per shift on the second and third shift. Fire department, because we have paramedics, we have a paramedic level program that's certified by the state, and we have to have paramedics available on all 3 shifts. So even with the budget cuts this year, we're able to maintain that. If you remember a few years back where we weren't certified at a paramedic level, when there was a certain, like a heart attack or something like that, where a paramedic was needed, if they were going to Cooley Dick, they did what they call a paramedic intercept, where at the Easthampton border, we either met an ambulance and transferred the patient to that ambulance because they had a paramedic level, or a paramedic came into our ambulance to continue. And obviously 5-10 minute delays and all this stuff is, you know, if you got a heart attack or something, you know, you could lose patients. So we really fought to have a paramedic level, and the chief's done a great job on that. So this budget doesn't take away any services that we have now. It just makes them cut and really find money to save along the way. If we have to do another round, we may find out that services will suffer, more so than they are. I mean, the town clerk, for instance, she's got 2 elections coming up, but she's the only person doing it. Her assistant town clerk is not funded. So she's going to be looking for a lot of probably volunteers to help out, especially with everybody probably got a request for a mail-in ballot. If we send it back, she's got to send the ballots out. She's got to bring them back, count them. So it's going to be tough for a lot of departments. But, no department has to close down hours or days.
John, on that line item, now that you bring up town clerk salary,
Yeah.
the request was for $8,000 more.
Yeah.
Any particular reason for that?
The town clerk and did we lose everybody now?
No,
Still here. Yep.
Okay, all I see is the word Zoom on my monitor. What do you folks see?
We're looking at you.
we can see everybody.
So
I can see everyone.
I can't see anybody.
This is something.
That is weird, huh?
Yeah,
Let me see if it's...
okay.
Hey, Ed, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep, we can all hear you.
I'm just struggling trying to get that thing up as a shared document.
Well, it sounds like
why
you can see me, but I can't see.
Ed, why don't you just, we've got the document. We'll pull it up on our own computers, and if we have questions, we'll ask questions.
Okay, let me just give me this one last shot.
So while he's doing that, you were talking about the salary increase for the town clerk. Town clerk and the treasurer collector are both elected positions, and the salaries were set, whatever they were set, and they only go up 2%. So if she was trying to bring her position up to what she feels is a better level of pay for a town clerk position based on other positions in local towns similar to us. And different departments do that as we go along, but that wasn't, we didn't have any money to do that or even look at that.
Is it up now?
Nope.
No,
Okay, then I guess it's not going to work.
So Barbara, can we just go one by one and let the finance committee ask their questions so we can
that would be great. Yes.
we can move this forward.
And can you just put us all back on the camera and forget that share?
We're all on the camera. Go ahead. Do you have questions, Sloan?
Well, yeah, I asked my questions to Ed already. I just and Ed, thank you for responding.
You're welcome.
I just have a couple follow-on questions. One with the health director salary, and I do remember that discussion. Is that salary level funded then from what the 2020 ended up being?
Yes, it would be.
Okay, so there was no additional pay increase.
No, we had adjusted it, I think, during fiscal year 20 to where it finally needed to be. And the dollar amount that's reflected in the select board recommended budget is level funded to what that level of that funding was for fiscal year 20.
Just a little FYI. What was it called? The Pay Act, Ed?
Yeah, we had to adjust it to the Pay Equity Act.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a law out there with Pay Equity Act. Sorry.
Okay, and then
Any more questions, Tom?
John answered my question. John answered my question about reduced levels of service, that kind of thing. So, I think that's all I have. And I think I remember from last week that you don't have actual expenses for 2020 in the books yet, so there's no way to really compare this proposed budget against actuals from this past year.
Correct.
We don't. So we don't even know, like, through the third quarter.
No, we have revenues and expenses we reviewed last night at the select board meeting that went through the end of the year.
Well, they don't totally go through the end of the year, so you don't have a full year to totally compare to. It's a partial year.
Well, the expenses though are pretty much on target, right? It's just the revenue that's not quite up.
Well, I would say that there are still some expenses that aren't reflected in that came in after June 30th.
But no major expenses that we're aware of that will, send the budget way out of whack.
No, I would not say anything major, no.
Yeah. So we do have that. The revenue, though, we don't have a full picture on that yet. That's always lags behind.
Okay, but based off of 2020 actuals, this budget that's being proposed at the town meeting is not completely unreasonable.
Based on expenses from last year to this year, yeah.
It's extremely tight. If unforeseen things happen, there might be some issues, but yeah, it's the waistband has been taken in a couple of notches.
At the end of the year, at the end of the fiscal year, we always do an adjustment because there's always line items that overspend or line items that underspend. So at the end of the year, Vicky, our accountant, comes up and takes from one account and transfers them to other accounts so that they're balanced out. So the surplus money on one line item is used to help other line items that go over. That's done strictly at the end of the year. And if there's any surplus, then that just comes back. Because you can't, police department overtime, for instance, it's a guess based on history, let's say. The same with the fire department. You don't know how many calls and how many people you're calling in. So it's based on past history and what they forecast in the future.
Okay.
And we know salaries, that's it. Sorry.
But this budget is based on a 2.5% property tax increase, which is the maximum allowed by state without override, right?
We always go the max it out to the 2.5%.
Okay, and then the funding. Okay. All right, and then it sounded like with what the state's going to do actually this year, there's roughly an additional $50K that could be in play from the state. So I guess it's not for this meeting, but I'm just surprised that this, with the 2.5% increase and with $50K that kind of got taken out, that we were going to be really tight.
Well, you got to remember that 2.5% isn't on the whole budget number. It's the real estate tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand, but that's what we feel from this. So that's how we.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, Tom, thank you. Ray, do you have anything to add to that? You have any questions?
I think Tom covered all the points that I was wondering about. I had a question about, let's say the state doesn't come through with the number that we budgeted. It's less than that. What happens then? Do we come back to this thing later on in the year? Or?
Yeah, we'll have another round of where we need to make the cuts. Because if we can't spend what we don't have.
Exactly.
So
that makes sense.
We're stuck with whatever. And when will we know? Do you know?
And have you had an update on when we're going to have exact numbers? Or?
No, because the legislature's going to just hang on until they finally hear from the federal government. I mean, basically, just the fact that they came out last week and actually made a joint statement that said that, you know, the governor and the legislature has committed to level funding the Chapter 70, which, you know, would mean about another $26,000 to Southampton, and level funded unrestricted, you know, government aid. That would mean about another $22,000. I think that's as much as we're going to get out of them for, you know, could be another month. You know, it could be longer than that. They voted to stay in session. So, but I mean, the fact that they've come out and stated that, even though they, you know, it hasn't been done through the legislature or whatever, at least for this point in time, I think that's a good number. And then, you know, going back to Tom's statement is, you know, don't forget also that, and we had quite a lot of requests anyway this year that we would have to pare back, but okay, that's just based on, you know, level funding of state aid. We'd still have been cutting, but, you know, in a normal year, yeah, there would have been an increase to Chapter 70. There would have been an increase to unrestricted government aid. You know, the parts of the revenue side that, you know, aren't being focused on there in that 2.5 is, you know, we also made a guesstimated reduction to new growth for fiscal year 21, because we don't think the growth will be as substantial due to the COVID-19 outbreak as it has been in past. So that's down. We've made some, you know, reductions to, you know, local revenues because, okay, we've lost a restaurant, which is, you know, a license, number one. It's also a meals tax, number two. And number two, restaurants aren't operating at the levels they were, you know, last year. So, you know, there's some additional revenue reductions that are you know, covered in there.
Barbara, I just had one other, John, Barbara, I just had one other question. You know, a bank has an account for loan loss reserves. Did we end the year last year with a delinquent tax account? Is there a number for delinquent taxes?
Yeah, there is. I mean, taxes that are owed but aren't paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one every year. And do you know, the treasurer collector handles that? Do you know what taxes are outstanding at? I don't have that number anywhere.
No, I know we were just talking about, and the total taxes outstanding are a little different than basically going into tax title, but I know the tax title number was actually fairly low. The stuff eligible to go into tax title was only about $30,000. So.
There was one time not too long ago. That's why it's critical to get a good person as a treasurer collector. I think it was over $200,000 in back delinquent taxes that the treasurer collector at the time wasn't following up on it. And then Donna Whiteley got elected, and she went back and brought all that forward. I mean, that's just our money sitting there, you know, that wasn't being paid. And it's tough because if somebody's having a hardship and they can't pay their taxes, you feel bad for them. But on the other side, it's the town's money that the town needs to run the town. So it's, you know, it's a rock and a hard place. But as the select board, we said you need to collect it because it's owed to the town. You know, it's.
Right. Thank you. Long, do you have a question? Long?
Tom? What? Tom? Adam?
No,
Barbara.
this gentleman here. Am I not saying his name correctly?
Oh, you're saying, it's Adam.
Adam.
It says loan laptop.
Oh, Adam.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Hey, Lone, you got a question, Lone?
I'm going to have to fix that up sometime.
Well, she's trying to be PC here, you know.
Okay, guys. Question, what's your name? Yeah.
Adam,
No questions right now,
Okay.
Barbara. Just drinking through the fire hose, trying to gather this all in. So we're good.
All right, and Ken?
Yeah, a couple of questions. And I'll go back to this. And I don't want to get too micro on this, but I'm going to go back to that town clerk situation and also the fire chief. And this could certainly be out of the purview of the finance committee, but I mean, the town clerk's requesting 20%. The fire chief is up over 16%.
Right.
Ken, I'm sorry. What line is that, Ken? I was just trying to find that earlier.
I'm on, it's page 2 for the town clerk. And the fire chief is on page 3.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wonder, they obviously had reasons for, wanting to increase their numbers substantially.
Yeah.
And they were negated. So, I mean, is there storm brewing somewhere?
Well, the fire chief is a negotiated contract, and his contract just recently ended, so he is able to negotiate with the select board based on what he feels the equivalent position is worth, and the select board negotiates. It's all an executive session, so I can't really say a whole lot about that at this point.
Yep.
And the town clerk, she feels that she is not being paid what an equivalent town clerk would be in a town similar to us, and that's up to her to bring to us, explain why, give us some background and all that. And my opinion, and you can jump in, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing that she should get more money. We don't pay the town employees that well. I mean, we pay them, okay, but we don't overpay anybody. And if there was money available, I would be more than happy to look at a couple of positions to increase them. The town clerk being one of them, but we don't have the money.
Okay. Any other questions? Shall we go right now on to, Ed? What's now?
Start your screen sharing again, Ed.
Just the wrong screen.
Okay, there we are. All right, so.
One other question, legal expense.
Yeah.
It's going from 30 to 21.
Yep. That was an area that we were looking to save some money to balance the budget. And to be honest with you, legal is we don't know from one time to the next what we're going to do.
Right.
Somebody could sue the town, which they have in the past over the course of years, and our legal fees kick up. But we were looking for thousands of dollars here and there to balance the budget. We said, okay, let's look at that. That's, that may have to increase. It's based on actual need. A lot of it is.
Okay, I'm good.
So at this point, do I ask if everyone agrees to do a vote on that particular thing, accept or not? Is that what we do with this?
Again, you can vote to support, not support, or just take no action because of the time frame. It's up to you folks.
Okay. So who wants to start, please?
I guess I would move to support. I don't think I'd want to be in a position where we take no action. The Finance Committee needs to take some kind of action, I think.
I'll second that.
A second. All in favor? Let's do a roll call. I'll say yes.
Ken?
Tom?
Ray, yes.
Tom
Tom is a yes.
and Ken.
Yes.
So we
Okay,
have
so-
Ken, Tom, Ray, and Lowen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cephalo.
Or laptops.
All right, you guys, I'm outnumbered. All right, so then I say, what do I say? Voted on and.
You got a vote of 5-0. I wrote it down.
Okay, so.
Adam, are you taking the minutes, being the
Yes.
clerk? Okay, so I took some before you got here, so I'll send what I have and you can.
Thank you.
Adam, you got the motion and the second, right?
Right.
Correct.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
So now we're on to review town meeting articles.
We did that last week, so I don't think we need to do anything with that.
This was just the budget tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we don't have to do the review for year
No,
expenditure?
I think that just
That
got
was
put in there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then approval of the minutes for the previous financial committee meeting. Is that what we just did?
No, the minutes are the ones that I did. And we got to go through there, make sure there's no errors. If there are, we correct them, and then we can approve them with the corrections if needed. There was some question that you folks didn't vote on the CPA articles, but I thought we took a vote on that to support them. And
No, we decided to basically abstain from those because they were CPC.
so that was 15 through 18.
That was no recommendation, wasn't it?
14 through
Correct.
18?
14 through 18, yeah.
14 through 18. So I know I had no recommendation for 14, but that went all the way through 18 for all the articles. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Yes.
That's what I had down in my notes.
So I'll correct though.
Yeah, I did one motion for 15 through 18.
Yeah, I see the same person.
And
Okay,
that
so I'll
was-
correct the minutes and I will send them back out.
Okay.
Anything else on the minutes?
I'd move them as corrected.
Who was that?
And
Second.
Yeah.
And I'll second.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I've got
Tom said 15 through 18, and earlier I said 14 through 18. So did we approve 14 last week? I don't have.
Oh, I have 14 is no recommendation.
Yeah, 14 we discussed first, and we did a no recommendation because it was CPC. And then when we got to 15, we looked at them and said, okay, 15 through 18 are all CPC. So we did a motion on 15 through 18.
So Barbara, you want to take the next item on
What do
the
I do?
agenda? Number 8?
Okay, thank you. The next item is the liaison report.
Yeah. There's
Eight.
none set up, and I think we briefly touched on it last week. Normally, there's finance committee members that are liaisons with other committees. So you go to that meeting, and then you bring it back to the finance committee. Like, Ed, do you remember which ones? The personnel policy was one.
Yep, personnel policy was one.
You know what might be good? Maybe for not deal with this until after the election.
Yeah, and then I think, community preservation may be another.
So if it's okay with you folks, why don't we just table that until after the election and not have to deal with this month? Does that make sense?
yes,
All in favor? Do I do that?
No, you don't have to do that, Barb.
Don't have to? Okay. Okay, so we agree. Everybody agrees to that?
yes.
Okay, so number 9 is any other necessary business that cannot wait until the next meeting?
This is just a caveat in case we forget something. You can put it in there because if it's not on the agenda, technically you're not supposed to talk about it.
Okay. And then I guess we're going to schedule our next meeting?
The town meeting is April 15th. So that's a week from Saturday, is that right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you feel it's necessary to have a meeting before the annual town meeting or not. It's up to you folks.
Oh,
No, I'm good.
I don't know what we would be talking about.
Ray?
No.
When's the next select meeting?
It's next Tuesday.
Might something come up out of there that might call us for a meeting? Make a determination at that point?
And that's a short schedule we have for next week, right?
Yeah, the only thing on there would be to talk about amending, the budget due to that, extra state aid.
So it's and I've got to think, I got to look at my calendar, I guess what it means, but do we actually schedule it or just talk about it?
No, we schedule it. It's the 11th at 6 p.m.
Okay, yeah, got it here, 11th at 6 p.m. So it'll be hopefully a short meeting. One of the members suggested it's going to be a 45-minute meeting, and I've never.
That's a select board meeting?
Yeah, select board meeting. I doubt it, but yeah, so it's scheduled for next week, but we only have 1 or 2 items on it. So I don't think you guys want to meet.
Okay.
After the budget's approved, or after the town meeting, is there a need for us to meet again before the elections for these positions?
It would depend on if there are cuts that need to be made. If we get more information from the state or the feds saying, okay, you're getting more money, which would be nice, or you're getting less money. So then you want to be involved with that. But technically, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
So when would
speaking of that, pardon me?
When would that be?
The election is September 1st.
Okay, September 1st.
So that's 3 weeks away.
Right.
Speaking of which I know, Barbara, I believe your name is already in there for Finance Committee. Am I accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll try to do a better job. I'm just learning, so I appreciate your patience.
No, everybody has to learn. So you can say yes or no, but the rest of you have any feeling for if you're going to run again? I know, Adam, you said you might not be around, but.
Yeah, I guess that's just up in the air, John, and I wouldn't want to, not knowing what the future holds. I'm kind of in that limbo there. I wouldn't want to put up and then find out I'm leaving in a month. What good does that do, I guess?
Yeah. That puts the other 3 of you folks on a spot, doesn't it?
Well, has anybody taken out papers to run or applied for the positions?
Well, there's 5 positions that are open. All 5 are open.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have to be elected, voted on.
When's the deadline?
Well, technically it's passed already, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so they could do a write-in campaign.
I mean, technically, the 3 of you, my wife and I can go and put all 3 of your names down. You could probably get in there. We're just 2 of us.
With 1 vote.
And by the way, we will do that.
But the terms are what? They're very varied terms, aren't they? 1 year, 3 years, or something?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, if you have an interest, I will pass the word around and have people put your names on there. I've seen as little as 6 votes get somebody into a committee or board.
I won't need a lawn sign.
I hate to say it, but it's no. But a TV ad, right?
Ray, you want to make one? I'll put it in my neighborhood.
Hey, just stand on the
corner. How many do we need on this committee?
Stand in the driveway for me, Adam, with a sign.
Fair enough. I got 3 sons.
I'm going to make labels up for all of you and pass them out as people go in.
Thank
but seriously, a lot of it's going to be mail and because of the COVID. So, but if you folks have an interest, that would be great, and we could get you on there. And the problem we're having is a lot of the same people rotate through, and you look for new blood, young blood, old blood, any blood to get on there with experience, or even somebody that wants to learn. I mean, it's a great way to do it.
So I hope you gentlemen will join me next year, next semester, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's going to be quite the year, for sure. It will be quite the year because you have to
So
deal
should we
with
schedule a meeting or not?
the-
Should we schedule a meeting or not? Should we
I
schedule a
would
meeting?
schedule one after the election.
Okay, so why don't we tentatively set a date?
Yeah.
Okay, so September 1's the election. Is this a good time for everybody when we met originally? Which
5:30,
was
yes. 5:30 is fine.
5:30, work for everyone? Okay. Ed, do you want to, after the election, send us a notice to the Zoom meeting that we do for the finance? Or do you
Yeah,
want
sure.
to send up?
Yeah, if you want to pick out a date, I can do that.
But Ed, we wouldn't, in the past, we didn't schedule a meeting unless there was actually some business to attend to, whether it was some sort of requisition that needed to be discussed and signed off. Is this meeting coming up? Would that be more to discuss the committee liaisons?
I would say for, go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Ed. I was going to say, I think it would be to discuss what happened at the annual town meeting from the budget point of view and what you do more about as far as funding is coming down. Because there may be motions on the floor at the town meeting that change the budget, you know?
Okay.
There's that they could decide on or start talking about liaisons, and the other thing is after the election, and it may be necessary to re-elect some of the officers.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So you're talking about
who wants to get their feet wet or not.
so you're talking about having a meeting after the elections.
That would be the first one I would recommend. I don't think you need anything before.
Because the town meeting's mid-August and the election's the first part of September. Okay.
So September 2nd is the day after the elections. That's a Wednesday. Is that good?
I don't think you want to do that
soon?
Will they be counted?
because if you have write-in candidates, they have to be notified, and then they have to decide whether they're going to accept or not. So I don't think you're going to have a committee determine the day after the election.
Yeah, and then they'd have to be sworn in too.
Good point.
Yeah.
Right.
How about the following?
So-
Wednesday? How about the following?
Tom?
Would
Would
that be
the
the 9th? Yep.
If they can get them sworn in that quickly, I would think you'd want to do it like a week after that to be sure.
16th? The 16th?
Well, they'll get them sworn in within a few days. All you have to do is go to the clerk's office, raise your hand, and boom, And she may even do it via Zoom or via, one-to-one.
Okay, so September 16th?
The 9th or the 16th? What do you think is best, guys?
It's up to you.
I vote for 16th.
16th, who?
Yep, that's fine.
Ken? Ray?
16th?
Adam?
16th is fine.
Okay, so all in favor, we agreed it's going to be the 16th. And Ed, you're going to set it up for us, please?
Yes, I will.
Just
Thank you.
a thought going forward, and Tom, you can let me know if I'm remembering correctly, but the select board meets on Tuesdays, normally every other Tuesday. So by having a meeting the day before the select board, or even the week before the select board in the off weeks, it allows you to approve everything and push it to the select board for their approval, because there is a sequence to all this paperwork. So if you meet, say, the day after the select board, none of that paperwork gets to the select board for 2 weeks. And if it's a PCF or a PRF to hire somebody, that delays it by 2 weeks.
So that's why you're saying the 9th?
So let's look at meeting.
No, I'm saying once you get into the sequence, yeah. I mean, if you met the 9th, for instance, or 10th, depending what day of the week you want to put it on, that would be the week before the select board meets. So anything you approve will go to the select board, and we would have it on our agenda and we could approve it. In the past, we've kind of messed up hirings because we were out of sequence like that.
I'm almost done.
So,
we're not invited to the select board meetings to participate, right? We can just listen as public people, I guess?
yeah, oh, definitely. And if you're on the finance committee and you have something to say about the topic, the chair of the select board will be more than happy to let you in. Yeah, department heads do that also. So that's fine. I mean, we
Okay,
want to.
gentlemen, what is the best date that we should pick based on what you just said?
When's the select board meeting that week in September, John?
Well, it says we have a select board meeting September 1st. Is that still on during the election? We can't have it that time. But after that is the 15th.
So why don't we meet the 14th? So what we did last year was we met on a Monday, which is the day before the select board meeting. That way, if there's any requisitions to approve, we can do that before the select board meeting. That gives enough time for new officers to be accepted or new committee members to be, to accept and to get sworn in.
Okay,
All in favor?
works. Fine. Yes.
That's fine with me. Yep.
Ray? Okay. All right, so it's going to be Finance Committee on September 14th. What time?
14th or 16th?
14.
14th. 14th, which is a Monday. What time?
5:30.
5:30?
5:30. Okay, I guess we all voted on that, so thank you for your patience with me, gentlemen, and I hope to get it better. So should I say?
I think you'll find out, Barbara, you'll get a rhythm once we have a few meetings. Once you all get in sync, it'll go fine.
I have
Okay,
one last question.
perfect.
Town meeting.
Yes.
We are supposed to be there?
Well, there will be a table for the finance committee and the select board, although we're there as individuals. And on the select board, we're having one person read all the articles because of COVID. We don't want people going back and forth. So if you wanted to be there, now Ed, we're going to meet tomorrow, the committee for the annual town meeting tomorrow. But as I remembering it, we're going to have the select board sit together, but socially distanced in one area, and one person close to the mic. And I'm assuming the finance committee head could be the same way?
Should be able to, yes.
So what date are we talking about now, please?
15th,
15th.
9 o'clock at Labrie Field, and the gates open for sign up at 8 o'clock. Yeah, there's going to be all precautions and signs and everybody mask and all that.
That's the 9 a.m. one, right?
Yes.
9 a.m.
But again, it starts at 9 a.m., so the gates open at 8.
Thank you.
And if it's inclement, it's the following weekend?
Correct, 22nd.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And,
You want to take a vote? You want to take a vote, Barbara?
oh, you have to take a vote? Okay.
Oh, you have a motion in a second, yeah.
Oh. There's,
Adam's a yes.
Yes. Ken's a yes.
Raymond second, Ray seconds. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right. Good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you all. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Worked out.
No problem.
You worked it out. That's fine.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Have a
safe.
good one.
Bye now.
Thanks.
Bye.